Thank you for tuning in to No Flag Radio. I'm your host, P. Standing firm. Today we talking about American descendants of chattel slavery first, black immigrants second. So Dr. Claude Anderson said we allowed Africans in the 70s to wrap themselves in blackness and pretend like they struggled right along with us. We now see that was dumb. We now see the plan of white supremacist society was to make diaspora coons to replace the concerns and common purposes that native black DOS descendants of slaves share. It couldn't be more obvious than the parade of Sambos we've seen shucking and huckabucking this week, trying to mildly campaign against our narrative of DOS. But unfortunately for them, this goes back several years. This ain't really new. Martin Luther King brought up he was a descendant of slaves. He brought up what descendants of slaves were owed. We got movies like Roots that go back almost 40 some years. We've always had museums and shit like that to commemorate just the concept of DOS. Basically, the concept of DOS has a history to it. And in the past week and a half or so, we watched the conversation go global due to motherfuckers trying to step out in front of it. After 40 some, 50 some years, they want to step out in front of it in media. We're looking at mainly social media now, right? Not only social media, but black ADOS, new black media, we're using it as a political ideology banner. No black agenda, no black vote, no black tangibles, no black vote. We got all kind of political offices across this nation that people are throwing their hat in the ring for. And this is a movement that none of them can ignore. It's just that pervasive. I believe they would ignore it if they could, like they've done for the past 40, 50 years. Because again, the conversation is not new. We're just talking in terms of mainstream media and mainstream politics. White supremacist media, that's their calling card, is to not mention some shit in a news cycle. They will look for a reason to not put some shit on the news. And your run-of-the-mill, no black agenda having politicians, they'll look for reasons not to include black people in their conversations. What we're witnessing with ADOS is American blacks, we got into America's ear this time around with ADOS. How it works is the more minds you put behind an issue and the more collective thought you put behind a concept, especially if you give that collective thought time to mature on the calendar, like the concept of ADOS, it turns into something. And ADOS is an intangible intelligence, so nobody can put a hand on it. It's uniquely American and black, like hip hop and jazz. Straight up, it didn't start in the mountains of Siberia somewhere in Russia on a bot server. Like we hear white supremacist media and the Coons is trying to paint it as, they just gotta give credit to somebody white for every single thing. They're just that brainwashed. And the residual kinetic force of whitewashing is just so prevalent in their lives that they, even when they mean to hit the brakes on something, they're white jocking. It always seems to just push them a little bit past the point where they meant to stop. Next thing y'all was gonna say is that somebody hacked into Twitter's goddamn servers and made up all these Twitter accounts from the Twitter location, or one of the Twitter employees did it. You just don't know how far they'll take some shit. Nothing in my imagination could make me believe that shit. Even if I didn't know shit about the history of the concept, this is what I'm saying. Black people don't buy bot servers. That doesn't happen. And if any of us walked into a political sphere talking about what American descendants of slavery need to get, those type of people would be buying shit like politicians. They'd be buying politicians and trying to figure out how to do that shit, right? Let's keep it real. But here we are talking about ADOS. This is like years down the line from its conceptualization. And this particular sword that we're swinging today, it takes on a different form than just your typical crowd of black people standing up holding signs somewhere. There's no white money back in this. There's no George Soros. There's no D. Ray McKesson. There's no front man for the ideology. No front woman for the ideology. There's no LGBT marriage associated with this. There's no white founders. There's no black founders. Now, I do credit Antonio Mora and Yvette Carnell for giving it stage in their work and really putting it in a format that the youth would want to hear it and access it. I appreciate that work. They are really running with it on social media. Also, some other voices in black media like Black Patriarch. I appreciate his work as well. Well, it could be a him or a her, but I appreciate their work in keeping it in the forum. But check this out, how we just skipped all the normalcies that white supremacy usually gets out in front of us and puts in play first for the things they call movements. DOS, it's not a movement, it's a concept. It's an intangible noun. And I just find it funny how we caught people off guard with this shit. We caught politicians off guard with this shit. We caught a lot of the social forums off guard with this concept. This long-standing concept in the many concepts of black ideas. They didn't expect this shit. It's impregnating social media. It's made it to a global conversation. So when talking about non-American DOS immigrant blacks, we want to start off the conversation talking about population and what's the real-time diagnostic on American DOS versus non-DOS immigrant blacks, the push and pull between these groups as the conversation of American DOS takes stage. And as we're seeing, like over the past week, we're clearly seeing that non-ADOS blacks have ADOS in their mouths. So we want to look at that from a numerical standpoint just to see what the terrain of this volleying is starting to look like, because as we know, some very well-known non-ADOS blacks seem to not want to leave us alone in social media, i.e. Roland Martin, i.e. Joyanne Reed. They seem to not want to let us have this conversation by ourselves without their input. So I want to look at the non-American DOS immigrants throwing their weight around in this conversation and look at what their numbers look like up against us and what their trajectory might be as this conversation progresses. So I want to start by saying aggregate population of a group determines a lot. Population determines what kind of push a group has. Just look at the Asians. They are the second largest group of new immigrants to the United States, 27% of the new immigrants that come to the country. And white supremacist society has clearly labeled them the model minority. That means they get the jobs, that means they get the college educations, they get their businesses off the ground, or they're participating in the workforce. The largest immigrant group is the Latinos, and they always try to mobilize their numbers to make something good happen for them. 47% of the new immigrants to America are Latinos. And in terms of black people, it's currently more American DOS here than it is immigrant blacks. Black immigrants are 8% of the new immigrant population in America, according to the Pew Research Center. Way less than the Latinos and the Asian immigrant population. So we're looking at a minority within a minority when we're talking about non-American DOS blacks. So because of our population, ADOS, one would expect us to determine the power dynamic within black society, as we should. And no one should be pushing against this. And I don't care how desperate a minority within a minority group is, especially when they start showing signs of traitorism and all kind of bullshit we're seeing from the non-ADOS immigrant blacks. Us determining the power dynamics and determining the sway and determining a lot of what gets carried out around this mug for black people, us being the leaders of that charge in this country that we already been on the ground and been filling this place out, us determining the dynamics here should be par for the course. But what we have in white supremacist society is artificial means to achieve a goal of flipping all that power that I spoke of into the hands of whoever white supremacist power sees fit. They're trying to put it in the hands of non-ADOS immigrants. People who don't want no smoke with them. People who just want a green card and a job. While we got a whole list and a agenda that we running with. You understand? People that just want a green card and a job, they not coming for much, and they will sell out for a very low price. That's what we're witnessing right now. The artificial means is going to find the pre-vetted coon population of people that look black and then have them play ball with white supremacy against us, American blacks. That's what's happening. Enter the Afro-coons, enter the Coon-Ribians, the Euro-Afro-coons. White supremacist power knows that not only can population determine power, motherfuckers getting on TV and on social media with slander propaganda can also determine power if we don't stay pulling the battery out of the backs of those who wish to operate juiced up off that coon juice in the name of white supremacy's divisive, exclusionary, oppressive interest against the native black community. That's what this is about. Constantly negating the needs of a group of people like we've had to deal with in a system of white supremacy that can get a group of people killed. Devaluing a group of people in front of the world every step of their way, every step of their life can get a group of people killed whenever white supremacist power is pushing buttons. Keeping up slander about a group of people can get them killed. Just look at what happened to the Jews during the Holocaust, right? I just think these immigrant blacks are playing a very dangerous game with white supremacist society and with our lives by proxy over the shit that they acquiesce into. They're playing the same game as they were playing in their home countries. They playing the same game with the same caliber of enemy that got them running from over there. They playing Stockholm Syndrome with a motherfucker that don't love nobody. They will flip on the motherfucker that holds Stockholm Syndrome for them. And us over here in America, man, we ain't got time to play that type of shit. We ain't got time for that like y'all do. We ain't got time to wait for non-ADOS immigrant blacks to grow the fuck up. We just don't have that type of luxury. Really. We're in a very dangerous situation with them and what they choose to introduce into our lives. And as white supremacist society is holding on to calcified wealth that we are demanding in the form of tangibles, land, all this other stuff, equity that they stole from us. Yeah, it's a spot that everybody wished they was in, being American DOS, but it's also tense at the same time. It's like a motherfucker that help you rob a bank type shit. Black people, we're the motherfuckers that help white-skinned individuals rob a bank. American DOS, we had a hand in them robbing the bank of ADOS. We helped them rob us. Now we at the house trying to count it up and trying to split it up and really trying to split up this cake in proportion to what we got and the work that we put in. And they just like, oh, so we just gonna split it up with you people that helped us, huh? They're gonna try to throw every coon that they can at us to deter the splitting up of our money. And I'm just saying money, but we know it's money. We know it's resources. We know it's all different types of allotments that need to go specifically to us. This is what they're doing right now. This is what we're witnessing. All right? This is how white supremacist society works. Oh, you saw me rob it? Oh, I gotta throw the kitchen sink at you. I'ma even call in motherfuckers who look like you so I can always have somebody to point. You know, that's how white supremacist society does it. They're like, oh, I always gotta have somebody to point to and say, well, look, they're black. They're delegitimizing your black activity and they're downvoting your rightful percentage of the take, which should be 100%. So it must be cool. Right? This is what they're trying to set this up to be. Fat ass Roland Martin and scrunchy faced Joyanne Reed, they answered a very loud coon dog whistle put out by white supremacy. And we got a lot of non-ADOS immigrant blacks that are answering these coon dog whistles put out by white supremacy on the daily. Some of them are being quiet right now and not really saying much about it now. But eventually, their country flag is gonna come calling. It's like having a white friend. Like, they can be your friend all you want, but eventually, Their white privilege is gonna come calling. Some sort of step up over your black behind is gonna come calling, and they're gonna take it right in your face. So these non-ADOS blacks, these immigrants, the ones that are being quiet and not saying much about ADOS, watch them. Don't let it miss you that they also know that we built this country and that we are old. These second generation green card and job wanting motherfuckers. They come from a long lineage of motherfuckers that just want a green card and a job, so they ain't own it how we are. As far as they're concerned, they're saying, hey, we couldn't get the colonizers in our home countries to pay us any kind of reparations. We be damned if we're gonna see y'all get it, you American blacks. That's what's going on. You know what I mean? They heart ain't into this shit the way we are. So they are quickly folded and quickly turned over to whatever white supremacy say. And they will quickly propagandize and help white supremacist society propagandize whatever they need to have pushed ahead of what we trying to do, right? And what's more is they want to ignore, or they have no context of the long-standing criticism of this white supremacist regime that ADOS created, that we've been very intimate with. And one of those long-standing criticisms is that white-skinned individuals don't want to pay black people what they owe us for slavery, because a little bit of a step up or a little bit of money for us means we finna really come up. We'd be more easy to escape the prison industrial complex that they built out of slavery for us. We'll be more easy to skirt that shit, right? Black folk, you know, we don't commit the multitude of crimes in this country. We get put in jail over petty things. We're sitting in cells because we can't afford lawyers, because we can't afford bail, that type of shit. That's what's got us filling a prison bed. We get targeted in our neighborhoods because we don't police our own neighborhoods. We're not our own police. If we had our own neighborhoods, our own towns, which we could build with reparations, we could police our own neighborhoods and wouldn't be targeting each other. Like how white people just come and target us off the rip for nothing. When they come into our neighborhoods, quote unquote policing, but it's really patrolling, planting evidence, and doing all this other goofy shit they like to do with they punk asses. Sorry that I had to digress, but I had to do it. But back to the long-standing criticism, back to stating the obvious that if black folk get reparations like land, money, free tuition to any level of schooling that you want to go to, from elementary on through college, free. All that system that I mentioned would have to take a different shape and have to move on a different impetus, is my point. So if you aren't coming from the United States, and you're not an American descendant of slave black, you don't understand this dynamic. Y'all don't really have that press and pull going on. Where y'all at, y'all are really at a disadvantage because y'all don't get the chance to see the white hands, the Asian hands that run y'all's black puppet leaders. Y'all don't get to see other people that are not black as oppressors. That's a disadvantage that y'all have coming to America. So we're clashing right now. That's what we're going through with non-ADOS immigrant blacks. We're clashing with y'all right now over that kind of dynamic that y'all don't understand. That's why we're clashing, because y'all don't get it just yet. But we can't wait just because y'all don't get it. You understand? All y'all cops be black. All y'all judges be black. All y'all DAs be black. All y'all jails be full of black people anyway. Y'all have a very narrow perception on how to deal with people that are not black and the formations that they assume when they trying to set black people up for a fall. All y'all do is just take them at their face value, but we've been seeing them do dirt. Where we at? And that's the difference. That's gonna all come to a head with this shit, and that's what y'all don't realize is on the horizon, and that's what they see is on the horizon. This white supremacist infrastructure that we're in. We're talking tangibles for American descendants of slaves, and they're trying to use y'all as a method to play it down and to cut us out and to get y'all to advocate cutting us out. You non-ADOS blacks are being used. I'm just letting you know. You black immigrants, you're being used to help keep a lid on the tea kettle that is ADOS success, but it ain't gonna work. So y'all need to get back in y'all huddles with white society and figure something out, because it ain't gonna work. They want to cut us out of the game that they used our bodies to create. Cut us out of the spoils of the game. And so many generations of non-ADOS immigrant blacks have been depending on that. Let's just talk about that. Since we bringing up elephants in the room, let's bring up elephants in the room. Immigrant blacks, they've been depending on us being cut out, depending on us being forgot about in order for them to get their green card and job. That's all they see is the green card and the motherfucking job. You know what I'm saying? And with the advent of social media is doing a number on these non-ADOS immigrant blacks and their transgenerational scheme. We're able to now look behind the curtain of non-immigrant ADOS blacks. We're now able to get access to their daily thoughts because they already have access to our daily thoughts. They spent decades being steeped in hip hop and R&B and all of our conversations, all of our leaders. They've already had that exported from America to them directly to their places where they from. So they already got a chance to look at us, and pretty much all they've got is entertainment and news, and then some of the scholars like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, those kind of things. They're still missing a lot, but social media has evened the playing field. Now we all can go into each other's homes and hear how each other talk in the house type of shit. We can go on social media and see them call us all kinds of akatas all day, but then lie about it and say it's not something bad all day. Tides have changed in history. Now we have access to their thoughts, right? So we got to make a wise assertion of who they are and kind of make some changes in how we deal with them now. Since we now kind of know what's on their mind, we have a lot more information about them now. What's happening is that new black media, we've been able to see that there's a vetted diaspora coon population that we're gonna have to deal with, and just the various mechanisms by which a lot of them are complicit in a lot of their ways and activities in saying that American DOS gets ran over, gets disrespected, gets devalued, gets dehumanized, gets swept aside in place of their white supremacist ass-kissing asses. All I gotta say is World Star, Lovely T, and Love and Hip Hop on that shit. I'm saying these are their offerings to ADOS society. Not no Public Enemy. They not bringing in no Teddy Rileys. They ain't bringing in no Whitney Houstons. They ain't bringing in no Stephanie Mills. They not bringing in no James Brown. Not no Branford Marcelluses. They're not bringing in no shows like Rock. They're not bringing in no movies like the Malcolm X movie, the Spike Lee movie. You know what I mean? They're not bringing in, let me just walk down memory lane, what they not bringing over here. They're not bringing in a Senegalese Muhammad Ali. They're not bringing in a Haitian Khalid Muhammad. You understand? They're not bringing in a Colin Kaepernick coming out the UK. They're not bringing that shit. They bringing coonery and ass kissing and trying to make the people here, American descendants of slaveries, look bad and trying to cast aspersion on our whole existence by kissing as much white ass and ingratiating themselves with bigot white motherfuckers over here as much as they can. This is who we up against. We up against an open motherfucking enemy in this bitch. They bring bullshit like World Star and a bunch of coonery when they get in front of cameras. We have to come to terms with this is who these motherfuckers are, dog. We around an open enemy and they look like us all the way. We gotta recognize that shit. These are acts of motherfuckers that need to get the fuck away from us until they get their act together. And I don't even want to be watching them while they getting their act together. It's like, get the fuck away from me now, and I don't really want to see you until I start seeing works that you do that are beneficial to me, because that's where we fell out at, is at the point of you don't want me to have benefits in life. On account of you getting your green card and your job from a white supremacist society, you just say, fuck the people that's black and that's already here type shit. We seeing that, right? That's how I'm looking at non-ADOS blacks. But I can't stress enough how damaging propaganda can be, especially when you're in a society where you got your skin folk, who are not kinfolk coming around to package up shit to make one sector of the black society look bad. They're blatantly trying to make a power play on black Americans who are already here, even though they're lower in number. Population be damned, right? They want to find ways and support any way that they can to make us look bad. This is some evil agenda shit that they come over here with, these vetted coons, at the behest of the white supremacist trinket mill. It makes it harder to unteach out of the immigrant population. We're gonna have to unteach this out of that 8% of black immigrants that's coming in. We're gonna have to unteach it. We gotta check their ass. Or somebody's gonna have to unteach it out of the non-ADOS immigrant blacks' brain, because they just all about their country pride. My country pride, my country is not America. I have pride in seeing this vetted coon Issa Rae make those American DOS women look dumb and weak. I got pride in seeing Idris Elba, Simptress Elba, Coon for me too and shit. Got pride in watching this non-ADOS black person sit up here. Even though they talking some trash, I'ma stand behind them. Be it Jamila Lemieux, be it an Ebony writer, be it a Vibe writer, that type of shit. And you know black folk will do it. You know we'll stand behind some bullshit. If it's some bullshit from where we from and it's from our hometown. If it's some homegrown hometown bullshit, we gonna stand behind it. And these non-ADOS immigrant blacks, they on the same tip. They ain't different. They ain't special. They ain't changed the game. They're still lame. They still will do lame shit like that and be lame. So, just saying, the flow of propaganda is mean in America. Another thing about these non-ADOS blacks, yo, they see how the police unions can come out in front and do PR against black people before the case even hit trial and taint jury pools. They pick up on that. They pick up on those social cues on targeting black people. They can sense, okay, yeah, co-signing that kind of process, getting down with that process must be the way to get accepted, because a lot of the non-American DOS immigrants are still dealing with just acceptance and being accepted in a new place, all right? They're trying to figure out whatever they can do to be accepted. Or everybody need to jump out and jump on Chris Brown for some lying-ass bitch out in Paris. Or be it, oh, y'all need to jump on ADOS, right? Jump on that, right? This is a highly acculturated process in American society. It's a very fluid process. And the non-ADOS immigrant blacks, they are several generations versed in how they need to speak, how they need to act to appease and curry favor with the same white supremacist infrastructure that did all of what I just said, and that constantly, consistently does exactly what I just mentioned. They want to be liked by those type of motherfuckers. They want to be swaddled and coddled and liked by those types of motherfuckers. It's some real sappy shit they got going on. They want to be down with old black media. They want to be down with white supremacist media. They want to be down with white Jesus. They want to be down with goddamn anything that's anti-ADOS, that's on the damn objective list of white supremacy when they come over vetted from their stations as Africoons, as Euro-Africoons, as Coonribians. They come over here wanting to be a part of it. Rushing to America in droves. Again, I bring up population. 2010 to 2013, 25% of America's black growth came from immigrants. That says a lot. It's probably higher now. So as we talk tangibles, we need for our population and our propaganda to be used to our advantage in this fight. That's why the new black media gotta stay on it. I'm of the mentality that ADOS should be put on the US Census, just to pop the cherry on what we need to be getting. Also to show these vetted black immigrants that we're not playing with the people that you come over here trying to jock. We're not playing with white supremacist society like you are. You want to play patty cake with them, but we're not here for that. Census determines how districts are drawn. We're talking about building ADOS towns, just like we got Jew towns, Haiti towns, Chinatowns, etc. These are set aside for a set aside mindset of people, and we need that for black people who are already in the conversation of black empowerment, specifically those black people who are already talking this ADOS shit, who are already talking pro-black empowerment, who are already talking black first. outsiders to those causes need not apply. Africans don't try it. Caribbeans don't try it. And I'll do a post on what y'all's reparations should look like next to ours, but it ain't in our ADOS towns, that's for sure. The Euro blacks, the same for you. Who else don't need to apply? You Coon motherfuckers, y'all don't need to apply. The Monterey's, the Terry Cruzes, you don't get to live in an ADOS town. Right? Serena Williams, you don't get to live in an ADOS town. All the pastors in the churches, y'all already living off the government, and a very willing government, actually, who wants to see y'all's trade and occupational group make it. You don't get to fuck with an ADOS town. Basically, anybody who don't have the conversation of ADOS going on and black empowerment going on in their life and can't pass a blood test or something, or a tangible works test, or a combination of the two. Because look, diaspora blacks from those places that I mentioned, Europe, Africa, the Caribbean, you might notice that when they come over here, they pretty much are on a predetermined course by white supremacist power to be either the biggest group of black people in America. That's one of my submissions, because if they're a big population, then nobody's gonna be hollering about reparations. Nobody's gonna be hollering about white daddy doing police brutality for a few hundred years. It's gonna take them a while, right? What with their guard being so down to white people, just in general. I mean, I guess on that fact, I could dial back the pessimism a little bit. I mean, their numbers are low as far as the percentage of immigrant blacks in the total population of black people. And another submission of mine is that they're trying to make them the most visible in propaganda spaces, which I think they kind of already are doing that. They kind of almost got that shit tackled. They're already visible in propaganda and news and shit like that. Highly visible in Hollywood to help sell propaganda against American descendants of slaves' best interests. And it just so happens we care enough about how we are educated and in what's being put in front of us that we're willing to use them as punching bags. That's a good thing. That's an easy one. But what their presence does is something that I've mentioned when discussing like the ratchet females you see on TV shows like Love and Hip Hop and all that bullshit. It makes us normal ADOS people have to reprogram the public on the fly in the streets, who think we all should think like some bullshit representation of us that they saw presented by these types of diaspora blacks on the TV screen. Follow some kind of ideology that one of these non-ADOS blacks is parroting for the butter biscuit basket or the butter fufu bread basket with a side of green card. That's the only hurdle we really get out of it. So the logical conclusion to me to achieve the best end for native blacks here in America, descendants of chattel slavery, is to say fuck them. Jettison the non-DOS diaspora blacks, just to not spread ourselves too thin. I've learned that in life. Not spreading yourself too thin works, especially when you don't got no friends to begin with, and don't no group in this country have a steady supply of enemies like the American descendants of slaves, the people who are today saying, man, no, we hell bent on holding the system accountable to what they owe to us. You understand? Well, all these immigrant groups, the Latinos, the Asians, the Indians, everybody, and non-DOS black immigrants, man, they just came at the wrong time on the calendar. They just showed up at the wrong time. We trying to get some shit right now, and y'all really kind of in the way. The ones that they bet to Coon and come over here, y'all in the way. And let me tell you something, white supremacist society is really laying it on thick for black immigrants. They're really tricking on y'all, and y'all are kind of just lost in the glow, lost in the sauce, cause Gucci got the glow type shit. You know what I mean? Piecing out all kind of shit that should go to us. Off top. They want to divvy up scholarships, home loans, business loans. I got so many African people that run up to me talking about, yo, you know, I can get this kind of loan and get this kind of loan because I'm African. I can get this kind of business loan, this kind of business loan. Because y'all know I do business, right? It's like that type of shit, right? You know, I got family members that's going to college soon, and just in the scholarship hunting game, there's no scholarships that say black man in America type of scholarship by name that names us. You understand? But they got all kind of Immigrants from this place, immigrants from this place, black people from this island, black people from this country in Africa. You understand? It's a shutout that's systematic that goes right along with white supremacist objectives, and pro-black empowerment and ADOS as concepts are standing in front of those objectives. And we need to keep calling it out and keep pushing against it. Non-ADOS black immigrants, they may come over here acting meek and demure, and they come over here with a smile on their face, looking at you, smiling in your face, but they know they come over here to divvy up and get what white supremacist society wants to divvy up to them, to make them an exception class and a step up class and a buffer class. White society is no stranger with taking one group of black people out of a group of black people and lifting them up above the other blacks for their own selfish reasons. That's just been working since slavery. They've tried to create and manufacture dissension classes that are forever grateful, lapdogging ass classes amongst black society. They've done this before. After Bacon's Rebellion, they used whites to be the buffer class, like these middle class whites, and there's usually a labor class they usually try to make into a buffer class. The motherfuckers that's willing to work and be good and quiet for white daddy, don't ask for nothing outside of your earnings and be good. Wait for your pat on the head at the end of the week. Now, if you keep your head down throughout the week, I can give you pats on the head every day of the week. It's that type of shit. And in the Afro-Caribbean world, they use mulattoes to be it, right? It's basically a tactic used by elites to keep up racial oppression and to keep up social control, a buffer control strata in society. And what we witness in history is that the buffer class just got darker and darker in skin tone. Now they look like non-ADOS immigrant blacks from the UK, from Haiti, from Ghana. You understand? This is how slick they trying to do this shit right now. And they coming over here with that mentality that I can be a part of this lapdogging ass class. That's what they coming over here for. And that's some old fuck shit. We gotta keep smashing on their ass, man. We ain't got no choice. They want set-asides that white supremacy has stolen from us and diced up and predatorily earmarked for some other group just so they can keep us in the throes of their slave creation, their enslavement creation from the prisons and all that shit. They still want to keep that shit popping. They want us to be the face of that shit. The group of black people that got black messiahs in their blood and Malcolm X in their blood, they want to keep them type of Negroes in poverty. And they don't feel that type of current coming from the non-ADOS black diaspora blacks. They don't feel threatened by them. And what shows you that these black vetted immigrants are willing to play ball is that they don't want us to get what white supremacist power is dicing up for them out of the white supremacist desire to create a buffer buck dancing ass class amongst black society. They gonna ride with the white supremacist plans and tell us to shut up and be quiet and not ask for our shit that we deserve. That's why we calling out they selfish, self-serving ass motives. That's why we say there's no coalitions. That's why we say you gotta hold your own nuts. That's why we say we don't got no friends. We literally have nothing to lose by disassociating with the narratives and the causes of these people. We have no alliances to break. We have no cord to cut. And we need to bring that point home every time we in their face. And we're pushing this concept of ADOS. I'm about that. You know what I mean? Let's not spread ourselves too thin. Look at the weight that it brings with it. Look at all the lag that we get on our progress by letting other groups just coattail us. You know what I'm saying? We at a point now in ADOS history where due to white supremacist economic grab bags and divisive interests that help white supremacists stay empowered around this bitch, the non-DOS diaspora blacks, they don't want to have no unity with us. They want the step-ups. They want step-ups more than they want unity. More than they want us to get what's being misappropriated to them and to everybody else that is eating off our backs, right? And again, I don't know if I said it. I'm not talking about whole diaspora countries of black people that could be immigrants or would be immigrants. The ones that come over here that we have access to. This is what they're going through. A great big majority of them. So I don't want us to be asleep on that shit. They want their step ups before we get our tangible, which will take the focus and resources off of DOS chattel slavery. Fuck all that. When just about every black person I know that's American born DOS, round the way, normal black people, they got the same story. Them Africans, them Caribbeans, them Euro blacks, they be over here tripping. That be the predominant story. They be over here shitting. Cause they home is a place that's so divided by tribalism and self-hate and so ran over by colonizers. Or they so used to seeing non-black groups lock them out of access. And the reality is they ain't proud of that shit where they from. They walk around with their head down in their home countries. So they come over here and white supremacy wants to lift them up, the head down Negro, and give their ass some fake ass props from shitting on their distant relatives, us. And they can come over here and get special treatment and get specially treated. Boy, that's all the validation a black immigrant need, boy, especially if they was a pre-vetted coon motherfucker. That make them feel tough. They come over here and start shitting. Like I said in my Black Cohesion video, they bring their division over here and their problems over here. But what we see now, a white power structure who wants to dominate all blacks, likes them for their weakness and their desperation and quick to sell out ability. And these non-ADOS blacks is not thinking twice to be unified against us. They feel like, hey, we're a smaller population than the native blacks. But if we play ball with white supremacist plans, we can be held up as better than them. Our brainwashed coon ass parents tell us not to fuck with them. White people tell us don't fuck with them. So let's move full steam to marginalize ADOS. That's how I see it. I think they're trying to debase us through that because they have a small population. And whatever gift they get from Whitey, they want to run with it. And we need to acknowledge the veracity with which they're doing it. And we also need to acknowledge that white supremacist society recognizes that they can build up classes to overtake other classes at will. That's a great power that white supremacy has. And that's the chess game they're in the middle of playing with American descendants of chattel slavery. We need to go against being replaced by Africans, Caribbeans, Euro blacks. We need to go against the Joy-Ann Reids who give forum to just blatant delegitimization of ADOS causes and pursuits. And we won't be chilling on them anytime soon. We ain't stopping. People forget that the African self-hate is real. The Caribbean self-hate is real. The Euro black self-hate. Let's not pretend like they hand in hand over there. That's why the Chinese, the French, the British, etc., they stay with a colonial foothold and a hand up their ass in these places that are in the diaspora. And they former colonizers be thousands of miles away in Europe and Asia, still got a hand up their ass, all right? That type of shit don't happen unless your people aren't thoroughly divided and fucked up already. Not saying that we perfect on the unity tip, but if we telling you that ADOS is the move, don't get in your feelings and get in the way trying to hate. Is what we talking about. If you see we doing something positive, get the fuck out of our way. Don't be acting like a little brat because the shit don't include you. So like I said, they come over here, they see the willingness of white supremacist society to give them preferential treatment because they're immigrants, which is not a conversation they even hear where they from. You get it? They don't even, the only immigrants they hear about where they from is white American immigrants, Indians, Chinese and French and British and all that shit. And when they show up, what are they doing? They saying, come on in, white daddy, run us while we argue about whose tribe can make the best fufu platter around this bitch. Surely you know how to handle us, white daddy, you know what I'm saying? But when they come over here, it be full steam ahead on some let's get more than the black Americans already there. Oh, there's a white supremacist infrastructure that doesn't want to pay them a slavery debt, who wants to give the slavery debt money that they owe to them for their centuries of enslavement. Oh, they want to give the equities they owe them from that to us, to non-DOS blacks. Well, brother, let's be full steam ahead, brother. They all full steam ahead on stepping over black American descendants of chattel slavery. That's what they on. And I always say, just because there's a lane for you to do evil or a lane for you to get an evil that you can do sanctioned, doesn't mean that you do that evil. That's a spirit flaw within you that's gonna always catch up with your dumb ass. And that's what we're seeing now with the ADOS movement. The Caribbeans, Euro blacks, the Africans, they feel ashamed because we called out them having a spirit flaw. Is what we saw this past week with Roland Martin and Joy-Ann Reid and Angela Rye. I don't think Angela Rye is non-ADOS, but she showed talking down on it. Like her family shouldn't be getting this DOS, war on drugs, prison pipeline reparations. I think her family is like from Seattle or some shit. Maybe the motherfucking AKAs and the links is paying all her motherfucking bills and shit for all of her family's generations. Maybe they just that papered up. You know what I'm saying? But back to the people that we definitely know are non-ADOS, with them having a spiritual flaw like this that I'm talking about, there's a shame in that. With other diaspora blacks, that us, DOS, the moral compass, obviously, of the whole picture, of the whole black picture in the Western Hemisphere and even some of the Eastern Hemisphere, since we're talking about Africa and Europe, there's a shame in that. We supposed to be the ones without culture. We supposed to be akatas. And they're supposed to be so tribal minded and so connected with the earth and the ancestors. And all that shit they try to run over here, like, nah, don't shame your ancestors by attaching this type of shit that y'all pulling in 2019 to them. Don't shame their spirits. You understand? What y'all are doing, you non-DOS diaspora blacks, is opportunism. Flat out. Y'all asses flocking to America off of the behest of the Coon Orishas, goddammit. Motherfucking old Coon in this hole instead of old Goon. Coon Mon Ra instead of Amon Ra in this bitch. You understand? But look. My advice to non-American DOS diaspora blacks, don't come to America thinking your coon ass lineage finna get easy worshipings around this bitch. Ain't no ancestral altars gonna be built for the likes of a Joy-Ann Reid. At least not on this soil. You won't see a damn statue of that bitch nowhere around this motherfucker. If ADOS got something to say about it. But that's why Joy-Ann Reid can get on MSNBC and allow American descendants of slavery slander. That's why Rolly Fat Ass Martin and Kamala Cardi B came through dripping Harris can go on their nothing speeches trying to sidestep obligation to American DOS. And just to drive home the point, man, if you look at countries like Nigeria, Ghana, Angola, not picking on Africa, this is just a point that I made in one of the comment sections for Tone Talks when he brought this up about Africans and their sort of disdain for American descendants of slavery. This is a comment or a reference to a comment that I made. And this is outside of the pre-Vedic coons. We're talking about the history of these countries here, right? These places were complicit in a sizable population of us making it to North America in the first place. They left us for dead. They didn't know we was gonna shine and didn't care what the fuck happened to us. You understand? They didn't know we was gonna be the global cultural influence that we were. They thought one of the 54 countries in Africa was gonna make it to be some sort of beacon for the world. And it didn't work. It didn't happen. It was a little population of us that landed on America's shores, not in Haiti, not in South America, that landed in America, that turned out to be the shit. And they jealous. It's jealousy, goddammit. Just say it. Just admit that you jealous. I have more respect for non-DOS diaspora blacks if they just came out and said it. If one of them just walked up to me and said it. I'm from the blah, blah, blah side of Fort Worth, Texas. I ain't gonna tell y'all what side. You know, I'm from a place where motherfucker will walk up to you and say, man, I'm jealous of you. I wanna fight you. You know what I'm saying? I'm from a place where people do like that. And it's, all right, let's go. You know what I'm saying? I'll respect that type of shit more than anything. And what happened to non-American DOS diaspora blacks? We're talking about all of them now, not just the continent of Africa. We're talking about all of them. They thought their little tribe was gonna be what stood the test of time and what had the most influence globally. But it was us, the people they left for dead in America, that had the biggest influence. So I'll be damned if you didn't care what happened to us then, but wanna take from what we generate and generate it for the economies of the world now. And then try to fucking cock block when we making demands of our politicians. Like, nah, y'all out of place for that. Y'all out of line. Y'all tripping, and wanna have the spotlight taken off of us. Just cause you jealous that we bringing up y'all bullshit and everybody bullshit now. Nah, don't even try that shit. And on my reparation video, we're gonna talk about that breakdown of Caribbean blacks sold into slavery by the Africans, South American blacks sold into slavery by the Africans. This is a deep picture. So I want y'all to stay with me and see what kind of ground I've covered on this shit this week. I've been doing a lot of work this week, so that's why I kind of like the later post in the week. But don't forget to check out my Teespring. That shit jumping. And yo, I got a t-shirt design coming. It's so motherfucking fire. I can't even tell y'all what it is. I'm jumping to tell y'all what it is, but I can't tell you. I can't tell y'all till I drop it. It's just that dope. But y'all gonna love this shit. I don't care if y'all don't love nothing in the store. Y'all gonna love this shit. I'm just letting y'all know. Y'all gonna wanna buy the stock up on this hoe. Way2slay.com is actually gonna be posting its eBay listings very soon. So check out the eBay listings. Those will be coming very soon, within like a couple of days. I should have it up. Check all that out. Get it with all that. You understand? Holla at your boy P. You're gonna make sure you take care of your right. You know? You feel me? And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, so you know when I'm dropping. Get it, y'all.